Now will we see the magic?
All right, where's Murray? Okay, who is it?
This is Jesus, kid.
Know then that it is the year 10,191.
Yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Hello and welcome to Mary vs. the Movies with your host Mary Jones.
Dennis Lang.
And this week we were down in DC and we thought to ourselves, well, so what would be a good movie that's set in DC made in the 1980s?
DC Cab?
No.
Oh.
I said good movie.
We don't know.
Look.
I haven't seen it yet.
Is Bill Maher in that film or not?
I don't think so.
No, I think he might be.
Oh, no.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. So no, we're not doing DC Cab. Oh, look, we'll do it eventually. I'm sure. Look.
We don't have high standards.
No. Standards. We don't have any standards. I mean, we did Metal Storm, but...
Hey, we didn't do it in 3D, so we didn't really get the full film experience.
Anyway, so I immediately thought, well, what is set in DC? And you know what's set in DC? Manhunter.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah, it better be. Otherwise, Google lied to me, which it has done before. Like when it told me that Spinal Tap is a documentary.
Yeah.
I mean, no. So yeah, we picked Manhunter. I saw Silence of the Lambs in high school.
Yeah.
Everybody saw Silence of the Lambs.
Jonathan Demme's our guy.
Yeah.
We like that dude.
But this is not Jonathan Demme.
I know. I feel like, are we hurting our guy?
We're not hurting our guy because this is Michael Mann.
We haven't watched a Michael Mann, right?
Not for this.
And not for this. I mean,
No.
yeah, we've both seen stuff.
We've seen Heat.
And, yeah.
I was watching some season 1 Miami Vice, which, boy, stylish.
Yeah, it is.
It's actually really good. I was like, oh man, this is like when television was great.
Yeah, it's some goofy guest stars on that show.
Some stuff gets real weird in there.
Yeah.
I don't know that he was like involved with the show in those days, but yeah, what I'm trying to remember, was James Brown the devil or something?
Something like
yeah,
that.
or
Little Richard.
Was a ghost?
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, it was James Brown. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
that was weird.
Yeah, the show got real weird towards the end, but otherwise, you watch that early stuff. It's great.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched a lot of Michael Mann.
In
fact, I think that I've maxed out everything I know that he made. I know he made a movie called Thief.
Yeah.
And we are going to do that at some point.
I've heard that the wet streets of Thief kind of he would everything was shot at night, and he had he always wet the streets, and that kind of influenced the 80s.
What I know about this movie is that it's the first adaptation of what's his name, Richard Harris, the guy who wrote these books, who wrote Silence of the Lambs. His first book was called Red Dragon, and this is based on Red Dragon.
Okay.
So this is not Jodie Foster. This is a different person who is hunting a serial killer.
Different FBI guy, right?
Different FBI guy. He's hunting a serial killer, and he has to turn to, you guessed it, Hannibal Lector, in order to catch this guy. So it's the same idea, I guess, as at least that's kind of what I understand this movie is.
And there was a Red Dragon movie made later. I don't know who made that, though.
I don't know who made that. That was a different, it was an adaptation of the same book, though, I think.
Yeah. Right.
But this is the first one. Mm-hmm. This is the first time any of those books have been adapted. This is the first time anybody sees Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter, of course, what's his name?
Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for his portrayal, which is pretty cool for a suspense horror, whatever you want to call it. And then Mads Mikkelsen played him on television in the show Hannibal, which is a big cult TV show. And I never saw it, and I should, because I have a feeling I would like it. There's just too much television. Yeah,
Mads Mikkelsen, he's pretty cool.
He's great.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to see the first iteration of Hannibal Lecter in this, played by Brian Cox.
Yeah.
Who is another great actor.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite scenes in film is in I think you know. Where
I
I'm
do.
going.
I do know where you're going with this.
In adaptation, where where Nicolas Cage says he's Brian Cox is giving some kind of acting thing or
screenwriting. Yeah.
And Nicolas Cage says like, well, what about real life where nothing really happens? And he rips him to shreds from the stage. Nothing happens. Oh, it's so great.
I think my favorite Brian Cox is still Rushmore. Actually, it's a small role.
Yeah,
but he's that thing where he's in a coma and he just wakes up. Fisher. But we've seen him on Broadway.
Yeah.
He was in Stoppard's Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's great in that.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a lot of things. He's in so many things. And this is kind of, people forget, I think, that he was the first Hannibal Lector.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to see that. And I don't know. That's about all I've got to say.
I know his Hannibal Lecter is also praised. Like,
cool.
Apparently, he's very good at this.
Well, the thing is, like, I could see how if you're going to recast it and you had Brian Cox, you went to Anthony Hopkins. Like, I can see how that is a logical move.
Yeah.
Like it's not like, I don't know. I don't feel like one's a trade up or a trade down. It's lateral. They're both great actors, and I could see him being really great as Lecter. So I'm kind of curious as to what happens here.
Do you know who the star is?
Not a clue. I have no idea.
I don't know if it's the guy from To Live and Die in L.A., but it makes me think of that guy. I don't know. So, yeah, we usually have our questions, and I have a feeling some of them do not apply. Like, is there a love triangle? God, I hope not. I don't know. This is a different movie.
It's a different movie.
So it's a different character. Maybe he's involved in the love triangle.
There's an FBI agent hunting a serial killer, and they turn to Hannibal Lecter. We know that's what this is.
Yep.
Right? It's a different serial killer. It's not, Buffalo Bill, but it's somebody else. I don't know what their whole thing is. I guess they're the Red Dragon.
Yeah.
Because it's from a book called The Red Dragon. Yeah.
Okay. So no love triangle.
Eh.
Is there a dog like as memorable as the dog from Silence of the Lambs? You remember the dog, right? The dog that what's his name has?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Looks
Why
like
you got
Wolfie.
Yeah.
You don't want to be brought.
I don't.
Brought up.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay. So you don't think there's going to be a dog?
Look. Why would this killer have the same MO as that killer? No, I don't think there's going to be like dogs luring women to their death.
Okay.
That dog is an accomplice.
Maybe there's a good guy dog in this one.
No, I doubt it.
Okay. Death. Do you think there's going to be death in this one?
Oh, do
Maybe
I think there's going to be a death? Do I think
this is just going to be psychological?
Oh, yeah. Just a psychological horror movie.
Yeah.
No death.
Right.
Look, if Hannibal Lecter does not get to eat a person, I'm going to be kind of upset, to be honest. Let the man eat.
All right. Do you think there's an angry dad figure, like an angry boss?
Oh.
An angry warden?
You're out of line. I'm throwing the book at you.
You're going over the line.
Yeah.
Give me your badge.
No, I don't think there's anything. Like, there might be, like, some boss being like, you got to catch this guy. That's it.
Cool car?
The last movie I said, no, there's not going to be a cool car. It's the 80s. And there was a cool car.
In the first shot.
Which was amazing. In this shot, though, it's some dude who works for the FBI. No, there's no cool cars.
But it's Michael Mann.
Well,
He is kind of carish.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, you know what? Maybe there is at least one cool car.
All right.
Yeah. But, if this FBI agent can afford a sports car, there's some graft going on or something. That seems not legal.
Do you think this one will be as stylish as other Michael Mann things?
I don't know.
Like I've seen just.
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
I've seen shots from this, and it's
Have you?
always like white and clinical, and maybe like.
I don't know.
And so it doesn't look like the neon dark craziness of his other films.
That's fair.
So I don't know. I'm just curious what this one's going to look like. I don't know. I love looks of films. I love how certain directors just have a different
Absolutely
sense.
Yeah.
Or cinematographers or whatever.
Well, yeah, it's often like cinematographers, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it's gonna look like. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Should we go watch it?
Yeah, sure.
In a Garvita, honey, don't you know that I'm loving you? In a Garvita, baby, don't you know that our hearts are true?
A few seconds ago for you, the listener, but a while ago for us, I said I don't think this is going to be as stylish as his other movies. I'm going to say that's a swing and a miss for Dennis. I'm going to say that Dennis's cinematic judgment there may be a little questionable.
Really? Just a scooch.
Just a scooch.
The tiniest amount, a dram.
Yeah, that's a scoring on my own net type of.
You went into a Michael Mann movie and said, I bet this isn't stylish.
I think this one's going to be, I don't know, like boring to look at. So the reason why
I love you're as dumb as I am.
So the reason why I said that is the only scene I had seen was the Hannibal Lecter scene, and it was in the term.
You are so. You're like. That was what you thought was boring?
But like it was all white, and the thing that makes it is the kind of contrast with the scenes around it and stuff.
Yeah.
But and plus that it's really all white. It's insane how white.
White is a color of death.
Yeah. So I just saw that scene on like Twitter or something, like comparing.
Look, Dennis.
What?
I'm so mad I dropped my phone. You are not allowed to compare a movie to whatever you saw on Twitter like 4 years ago.
Yeah, and it was like, like a small little screen on in the endless doom scroll.
So what'd you think about actually watching the film?
I think this is the best looking film we've ever done.
It might be, actually.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, Paris, Texas.
Texas
I always
is
go
up
back
there.
to, like that. Deciding between Paris, Texas and Manhunter is pretty tough.
That's tough, yeah. And they both have like, kind of famous mirror scenes and stuff, but yeah, reflection scenes.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 80s are all about mirrors and what you could snort off of them.
Yeah. Is that the truth? Producers are like, I like mirrors. Yeah, go with the mirrors. Okay, Dino De Laurentiis.
Yeah, so this should have been called Red Dragon.
It should have.
Yeah, but Mr. De Laurentiis was like, we already had a movie not work because it was called Dragon. I'm like, I'm sure that's not the reason it failed.
They were worried people would think it was like a kung fu movie or something. But like I didn't really know this movie. Like Manhunter is just such a generic title.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
like I didn't think I had missed something amazing in my.
Did
80s.
you know it was Michael Mann?
Not until like Twitter, and I saw like a little screen like going through. Like I don't
want to say this is a cult movie because I don't think it certainly wasn't intent. Like it's not. God, when you say a cult movie, I mean we're not talking like Pink Flamingos or anything. Yeah. It's just that it didn't get a lot of respect when it came out.
Yeah.
But it has gotten respect since, and a lot of people like go back and watch it now, and they think it's great. And
this and Thief.
Yes.
Like his previous one.
Yeah. So the thing with Michael Mann is that I guess, well, now he's probably best known for the movie Heat.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it's probably Miami Vice. And then after Miami Vice, then you get to, Thief.
Last of the Mohicans?
Wait, did he make?
He did.
Jeez, that is absolutely left field. I did not.
I know.
He's the director for Last of the Mohicans?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Why?
I don't know.
That's not his kind of movie.
It is.
That's a Peter Weir movie. You're kidding me.
That's what he did.
Last of the Mohicans. That doesn't seem right at all. Like I didn't even think he worked with.
He did Ali.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait.
Ferrari movie recently.
Oh, I forgot he did. Wait, Ford versus Ferrari? That was him?
I think it's just called Ferrari. I think this is a different one. But yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you sure? Are you sure this is his filmography? This doesn't sound right. It's funny when you watch a movie and you suddenly have a bunch of pieces fall into place. And you go, oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
That's why this is the way it is. You know, my mom and sister, they watch a lot of, crime TV shows. A lot oh my God, so much CSI, NCIS, Blue Bloods. Is it on CBS? They watch it. They're not MAGA. They're the opposite. They like what it is they like crime shows because they like mysteries.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's really what all people want. They want the mystery. They don't really necessarily want the crime. Some people want to see crimes, but most people just want to see a mystery. They want to see suspense. They want to see, like, okay, a bad thing happened. Let's unspool what happened.
Yeah.
That's what this is, right? I went into this because, I'd seen Silence of the Lambs.
That's part of what this is.
Oh, that's interesting. What are you...
Well, I just feel like... Oh, for one thing, I feel like this is... Like Zodiac is trying to do what this is doing.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
my God. Okay.
Yeah.
As a sidebar, can we just say, I'm sorry, David Fincher. You're not Michael Mann.
He sure wants to be.
He wants to be. And I love Zodiac.
Yeah, it's great.
Zodiac is, okay, this is going to sound weird. Zodiac is like a comfort film for me. I can sit and
I
watch
get it.
that
Yeah.
anytime. If that was on cable, like in the days when you watch cable, I don't watch cable anymore. But my mother has it, but I just don't really put it on. But like that's the type of thing. Like I would just sit and watch that till the end. You think about Fincher and you watch Zodiac, and I didn't make that connection until you just said that just now, but. Yeah, that's got a heavy Michael Mann influence, especially the use of color, right? The thing about Manhunter. I said Manhunter. Well, I mean the show Manhunter.
yeah.
Okay, but well, let's just get to it. This movie spawned an entire genre of television and film, right?
Yeah.
And it's not that the idea of somebody trying to work through the mind of a criminal is novel. It goes back to at least Sherlock Holmes, maybe Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so detective fiction, right? Because that's essentially what this is. This is detective fiction. What Harris is doing is, kind of springing off from Sherlock Holmes, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, does the FBI have profilers? Probably. I guess that's a real thing. I don't know. I watched Manhunter on Netflix. I'm still mad that they canceled it.
Yeah.
But that was a Fincher show. Like he kind of helped develop that and whatnot. And the whole idea of that show was we have these guys whose entire job is to profile serial killers and try to figure out like their mindset so that we can somehow work backwards and solve the crime, but also prevent other crimes from happening. This isn't really how humans work, unfortunately. As far as I know, a lot of the forensics that we've put faith into for the last 40 years are, a lot of it's bunk. Other than, say, DNA tests, which at least can prove that somebody might have been at a scene, as far as I know, everything else is kind of not real. Like fingerprints are kind of okay, but...
So fingerprints on eyeballs is probably
That's
not
nonsense! Like, when they're like... I'm sorry, they test for prints on eyeballs in this.
Yes.
That's not a thing.
They just didn't think to look for it until then. And there it was.
And you know why they didn't think to look for it? Because it's a viscous substance. You can't dust on eyeballs.
I'm sorry.
Why
That's
don't
what
you
happened.
just dust on water? You're like, I'm sorry. Could you dust for prints inside the pool? No.
Maybe it's floating on there, depending on how greasy the print was.
No. Yeah, there's a lot of forensics in here that I'm just kind of like, oh, that doesn't work. That doesn't make sense. And like, look, I don't work at a crime lab, but I find crime labs a little bit dubious. Don't get me wrong. I understand. Like, autopsies are real. It's not like nothing is real, but we've built up an entire culture around the idea that like we can find these clues and the clues automatically, send us to the right suspect, and this kind of extrapolates from that.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that maybe a shark did not kill that Kintner kid? And Chief Brody got slapped for the wrong reason.
I'm definitely not saying that.
I don't know.
Look, all respect to Chief Brody, but it's good that they brought in experts from the field because no.
Apparently it's not. Apparently these experts are bunk.
Okay, a lot of them are bunk. I take that back. As far as I'm concerned, Hooper was just a rich boy who was like pretending that he was a detective, a shark detective.
Yeah.
And you know what? Nobody needs a shark detective.
He's got rich boy hands.
He does.
Yeah. Hannibal Lecter would pick that up right away.
Yes, he would have. Okay, so this movie has Hannibal Lecter in it.
Yep.
And this is the first dramatization of Hannibal Lecter.
Yep. And
it's Brian Cox. And I was not prepared for a not old Brian Cox. Like I said, the first time I encountered Brian Cox was actually, I think, in the movie Rushmore. At which point, which is not like it's 12 years later maybe, and a person can age a lot in 12 years.
Yeah.
Or they just dyed his hair here. I don't know, but his hair is brown in this, and I'm just like, that doesn't feel right.
And I guess they were about to cast Brian Dennehy, and he said, actually, Brian Cox would be better for this.
Brian Dennehy was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Cox is great in this, obviously. There is I don't know. I do think that his portrayal is different from Hopkins.
Oh, definitely.
Would you like to speak on that?
Well, it's more inward. It's not showy at all.
Yeah.
Like it's
he's not hamming it up in the same way that Hopkins does.
Yeah.
Right? There's no lines about, eating liver with a nice Chianti or anything like that. It is purely, I hate you. I'm going to mess with your head. And yeah, maybe I will, give you some info on the guy you're trying to, capture, but I'm also going to use my psychological persuasion on other people to try to find out what your address is to mess with you. Because otherwise I wouldn't be in jail. You're the one who put me in jail. I think I'm going to ruin your life.
Yeah.
Apparently that's what the show Hannibal is about. I never saw it. I kind of want to see it now.
Yeah.
I do love that this movie opens with the classic, you got to come back for one last job.
Oh, I said it's the same plot as The Thin Man.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember. Is it?
Well, I mean, in that they're bringing him in. He's retired, but he's the best. So,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Nick Charles is retired from the detective game when they recruit him in.
But he's celebrated. Everybody loves him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
so the reason why he's celebrated is that he's the guy that caught Hannibal Lecter.
Right.
And so everybody loves. They think he's the best. And they're like, oh, yeah, you can't figure out this one. Might as well bring him in.
He quit doing what he does because, he went up against Hannibal Lecter and all stuff that we don't really know until the film really gets going. But so he's living down in Florida with his wife and kid. His wife played by Kim Greist, who we just saw in Brazil, which we did not do for the show, but which we just saw at a theater. What I like about this movie is that it gets into how, leaving aside, do I believe in profiling and all the rest of the stuff? Honestly, I think it's kind of bunkum. But if that is your job, it messes with your head.
Yeah.
You have a relative who used to be a lawyer with the Department of Justice, and they talked about how hard it was doing their job because they were prosecuting things like child pornographers, things like that really were difficult to deal with. It actually is hard to get into the mind of people who are violent or dangerous people.
There's a lot not shown at all in this film. So it starts off of the killer going through this family's house.
Yeah.
The quality of the film at this point, it looks like
camcorder.
Yeah,
it's a camcorder.
And I was really worried that the whole movie would be that. I was like, oh man, maybe we got a bad copy. Or
oh yeah, because this is not we couldn't find this streaming on a normal service or anything. We ended up on the Internet Archive of all places. I was willing to pay money to rent this, but it wasn't available. And so, yeah, we were a little worried that, like, oh, did we get, like, the right movie? What are we looking at here? And
It looked like a USA movie at first.
yeah. And, of course, this all becomes explicable later.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, you were worried, is this not going to be stylish?
I know. Also, what I liked is that Dennis Farina, he's his old boss, and he's like, we need you back in. I have 2 pictures here I can show you. You think they're going to be like the worst violent death you've ever seen, and he turns the pictures over. It's just 2 families.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing violent or it's like, but it's, by the way, these families were killed.
Yeah.
But
entire families were murdered, and the bodies were like physically arranged in weird ways, and some of the males were like weirdly molested in a way, and it's like kind of uncomfortable. Serial killer stuff. I don't know what else you want to call it. Yeah. So you have this profiler, Will Graham, and he, Farina is kind of trying to say, like, look, you're the best who ever did this. You caught Hannibal Lecter. We need you to come back and do another job for us, even though you've retired and you're living down in Florida, because, frankly, the job of a profiler is to get in the head of a serial killer or whatever, and to try to figure out, like, if I can understand why you did what you did, we can catch you before you do it again. A lot of the film is about how that messes you up. What I appreciate, it's not so much like, it's not like he's violent with his wife, or he's not like, weird with his kid or anything. It's just that, he's moody and withdrawn, and he doesn't want to do this again. And in the film, we find out that after catching Lecter, he spent time in a psychiatric hospital just because this was so difficult and so overwhelming that he was having trouble dealing with it.
yeah.
And, I appreciate that a lot of this film is show, not tell. You get these little kind of information about, he spent time in the mental institution, later on we get kind of ideas of what the serial killer is into without getting too into an explanation of it. But a lot of stuff is just kind of left there for you to infer. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So,
like, for instance, like Hannibal Lecter's there. They don't talk about him eating people at all.
no, he just kills people.
The only thing he says is he's talking to his son about him, and he says he had bad thoughts about women, and the kid's like, what kind of thoughts? He's like, the worst thoughts a person can have. And that's all he says.
Well, because you don't need to talk to your child about, like, by the way, I caught this guy who not just was a serial killer, but he was, like, eating his victims.
But I'm just saying, like anyone else, that would be the first thing that the audience would know or something. Like, they would say, this is how bad this guy was, and because we mostly find out from what he tells his kid, it's like, we can make out what the kid is making out. Like, oh, this is a really bad dude.
So there have been two families murdered. One is in Alabama, and the other, I forget where they are. But it's not Alabama.
All right.
I want to say it's like Maryland or something.
Yeah,
Okay, it's Maryland. So two different families have been murdered, but in the same sort of way, so that they assume this is the same guy who did them.
Also during full moon.
And it's during the full moon. That's very important. And we, as Dennis was saying, we actually see the lead up to one of the murders. And I guess the idea is that he has a video camera or something. Or maybe Mann is just filming it that way to replicate how the killer would mentally be seeing the killings. Because, I don't know, do we want to get into the spoiler alert already?
Sure.
Sure. Like, why is he killing these people the way he is? I mean, I think it explains why the film is filmed the way it is early on. Or do we want to wait?
You mean that he's actually seeing their...
The reason I'm hesitating is we're seeing a couple of the murders. We're seeing these murders, and they're shot in a way that looks like a home movie camera.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping in mind this is the mid-'80s, either you have a VHS, like my family had like this huge camera that actually sat on your shoulder and stuff. I mean, it looked like what they had on television, to record TV and stuff. or you were still using kind of like the end of like Super 8 video and stuff.
Which is part of what kind of dates this movie in a way.
Oh, absolutely it does, because you get the sense that some of what these people's home movies were those Super 8s.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's where they would be developed.
Well, right, but so what I'm saying is that was still a thing in the 80s. You still had people making Super 8s. It was a while, I guess. See, sometimes I kind of forget that not everybody had a VCR in their house in, like, say, 1983. Because my parents loved movies. Like, they weren't rich or anything, but they thought it was important that we had a VCR. And they thought it was important that we could record, like, home movies using a VHS tape. Not everybody did that, you know? And so even in the, I think even in the 80s, people wouldn't necessarily have VHS, or you would rent like a camera and stuff and have like a VHS that way. But otherwise, you know, if people had Super 8s, if people had, you know, old film camera or whatever, when you develop pictures, you would send them out to a company to have them developed and then sent back to you. And so in this house somewhere downstairs, there's still like Super 8 video of me, like as a like toddler or whatever, right? Before they ever had a VHS recorder. But you know, as soon as like they had a VHS, my mom was just like, yeah, we're getting that. we may not straighten their teeth right away, but we will have a VHS recorder. That's very important.
She'll get on that teeth straightening any day now.
Look, man, the teeth all shifted back. I should have been wearing like a retainer for the rest of my life, and I did not know that. But anyway, when you see these early like moments of like these murders, it looks really strange until you realize, oh, we're seeing these as if they were home movies.
Yeah.
But what I think the movie is actually doing, and this is so much more interesting to me, is we're not seeing home movies. We're seeing the killer's mental camera. And he's envisioning them like home movies because these are the home movies of places that he was developing the film for. So, again, this is like a really interesting way to film stuff. Ultimately, we find out that our killer works in a photo lab in St. Louis. The way he's picking people is he is seeing these families in these films that he's developing, these photos he's developing, and he's picking them because he decides these people are perfect and these are the ones he wants to kill. And you don't really figure that out until almost the end of the film. Well, I mean, maybe if you're smarter than me, you figure it out. But I figured it out alongside our hero. So... because I'm not that bright. But I like the way that he's filming this. And it looks very strange until you figure out exactly what's going on. Anyway, so you have this serial killer who has killed people in far apart from each other. And that's kind of the weird thing is he's killing them in the same way. And he's leaving these bite marks. Like he bites the victims in a very strange way. And that's what is... like leads the FBI to connect the two together. And that's why they think this is the same guy, even though this is hundreds of miles apart.
They also call him the Tooth Fairy.
They call him the Tooth Fairy. And like...
I don't think that's what people would call him now.
No. It's so inappropriate to call him that. And he's very upset that they call him the Tooth Fairy, by the way. He is not happy about this. And I don't blame him. This is terrible marketing. You want people to be afraid of a killer. You don't call them the Tooth Fairy. So we will, you know, he's trying to do the whole profiling thing. And he's trying to get into like the mindset. And so you have this kind of stuff where he's going through like the murder scenes and like, you know, he speaks out this narrative that he's constructing to try to understand the mind of the killer. And he finally decides to go to Hannibal Lector to try to figure out like, can you help me figure out this guy and what he's doing? So that's how we get the Hannibal Lecter scene. So he goes to Hannibal Lecter, who is in a prison in, what you said, Baltimore?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was actually like filmed in a museum in Atlanta. Yeah. You know, we picked this movie because we're like, oh, it's like maybe made in Washington, D.C. And like there's like one scene that's filmed in D.C.
Yeah. It's very kind of iconic.
Oh, it's a great scene.
Yeah. But yeah, it's filmed all over the place.
Yeah, it is actually filmed all over the place. It's filmed in like Florida. It's filmed in it is filmed in DC. It's filmed in Atlanta. It's filmed in St. Louis. It's filmed in like Alabama. They do film a lot in the places that they mention, which is kind of nice. They go to visit Hannibal Lecter, and it's a great scene. And this is like kind of the first time anybody sees Hannibal Lecter. Obviously, everybody remembers the Anthony Hopkins performance, but this is interesting for a reason that I didn't even think about as we were watching it, but you brought up, which is the bars. Yeah,
so this was an interesting thing that I think it's a Dante. Oh, what's his name?
Oh yeah, who was the cinematographer on this? Because he came up with this, right?
Well, no, but they worked.
Well, him and Mann worked on this. So you have Will goes to see Hannibal Lecter, who is the guy he caught and caused him so much, psychological trauma and whatnot. But he's also, obviously, it's Hannibal Lecter. The guy knows everything, right? He understands the killer's mind. So he goes to him to say, like, look, can you help me figure out what this guy is doing and where he's going to maybe strike next? We need to figure this out. And Lecter is just like, I am going to mess with you because you're the reason I'm in here, and I'm obviously smarter than you. And so it's a massive insult that I'm even in here because, how did you possibly catch me? This is ridiculous.
Well, he has an idea.
Yeah.
That Will is a possible serial killer. At the end of their obsession, he says, like, you're trying to get the scent, smell yourself.
Yeah. A part of what this movie is about is the idea that, if you work as a profiler, if you're trying to catch a thief, at what point do you kind of cross over and become the thing that you're chasing?
Right.
It's an old story, but it's well told here, right? It's that fear that the longer you stare into the abyss stares back at you and you become that. Mother Night, if whatever you pretend to be, you end up becoming. That's that fear that everybody has, that you can't just kid about these things, or you can't just chase these monsters. At some point, when you are so psychologically entangled with these things, the danger is that it becomes part of you. And this movie is basically about that. How do you chase the bad guys without becoming the bad guys?
Right.
And how do you deal with a Hannibal Lecter without becoming a Hannibal Lecter? And Lecter's response is, you don't. You become like me. And I think the film is saying, no, you don't have to do that. But it means you can't do this very often. Yeah. You have to keep pulling back. You have to keep removing yourself from that situation, or else, you do get subsumed into this.
So in this movie, I think every time he calls his wife, that brings him back.
Yes.
And every shot of his wife is always in this blue. It's like crazy blue.
Yeah. Oh my God, the colors in this.
Yeah, that was shot in Robert Rauschenberg's house. The artist from like the 60s or whatever. He's one of the pop artists. Sure. And it's this beautiful house on the beach in Miami. It's just some amazing shots in there. And so Dante Spinati, he's the Italian cinematographer that worked with Mann, and he would go on to work with Mann in a bunch of films. And then he would also work on Red Dragon, the remake of this.
Yeah.
So
who did that remake? Do you remember?
Brent Ratner.
Oh no!
Yes.
Oh, come on! Ew.
Yeah. So they always had, like, whenever like he talks to his wife, like it's in this kind of blue
lighting. Yeah.
But it's supposed to be comforting and like this, like at one point he just calls her and says, "I'll call you tomorrow." He doesn't say anything else.
Look, you're chasing somebody who considers himself the Red Dragon, and what feels like the opposite color of that, it's this kind of calming blue. It's the blue of the ocean and of Florida and of being far away from all of this. So I get it. Yeah. The use of colors in this is great. There's a lot of use of green around our killer, and which is interesting because it's also kind of an opposite color from red, like, because he still can't be the Red Dragon that he wants to be. Yeah. He keeps killing people and he's not there yet. So I like the fact that he doesn't actually get a lot of red.
Is he a Green Knight?
No. No. Read another book.
At the time, green was considered the devil.
Oh my God. Anyway. He goes to visit Lecter, and Lecter basically freaks him out, and he runs out of the prison, and it's a great scene. And later, Lecter basically figures out a way to trick someone else into giving him the address for Will's family.
This is the thing that I kept thinking about. Like, are they not concerned that he's just just talking with a serial killer out there? Like, are they not like, because they figure out how he's going to communicate with him? It's like, how did this two-way conversation begin? Like, how did that? Why not look into that part?
So, the rest of it is them trying to track this serial killer. We do get like a nice little round table of him and a couple other agents, and one of which is played by Chris Elliott.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I was just like, wait a minute, that's Chris Elliott. What's
Chris
he doing
Elliott
here?
Just hanging out there. Yeah.
We just did the episode on All That Jazz, and a friend of the show, John Solomon, sent us these videos from the show Eagle Heart, where like the last episode, it was this whole thing of them taking from All That Jazz. So when I think about Chris Elliott, I just think about he's a comedian, he's very funny, and he's very strange, and
Very strange.
It's always that much stranger when I see him show up in a normal show.
He almost had like a little Chris Elliott smirk on in the scene too. like, what is he gonna do?
I was so happy to see him on this. I mean, it's a brief thing. It's all of like 30 seconds at most, but
But this is the time when he's under the stairs at the David Letterman show.
So yeah. Meanwhile, we have this reporter. Do you remember his name? I just remember he looks like a cross between like Jerry Harrison and John Ennis from Mr. Show, and I just could not stop thinking about that. But what is that guy's name? It's Freddie Lowndes. Yeah, played by Stephen Lang. Freddie Lowndes is a tabloid reporter, and he is sort of covering Will, and has covered him in the past, and is trying to like get a scoop. And there's also this idea that like, if I get this scoop about the serial killer that you're chasing, maybe I'm even being helpful. Aren't I being helpful? And so eventually they kind of give in because they realize that the serial killer is reading his paper, Lowndes' journal, like the Tatler or something. And so they're like, okay, fine. You know what? We'll work with you a little bit. You're very annoying. But because they put this in there, the serial killer is just like, now I can find this guy.
But also they set a trap for the
that's right. They try to set a trap for the serial killer
in DC.
In DC, and this is the one scene that's actually in DC.
Yeah.
I forget what the exact location is in there. Do you remember where they are?
No.
Well, look, it's a big plaza.
Yeah.
And so you have Will kind of walking through this plaza, and they think that they're going to run across the killer. Because, they set up this whole thing. Basically, they figured out that the killer is contacting Lecter through ads in the Tatler. And so they're like, okay, if we work with the Tatler and we work with the Lowndes and all the rest of that, then we can kind of set up a fake response to these, like the personals and stuff. And maybe we can catch this guy in the act, right? And so they set up this whole sting operation. And it's a very like kind of nervy scene of Will, and he's walking through this plaza, and you've got all these SWAT team members and stuff, waiting for something to happen. And some poor schmuck decides to like jog through the area. and as this poor guy is like jogging through this space, not knowing that this is going on, of course he gets just surrounded and taken down. And he assumes he's being mugged, the poor guy, and he's like trying to give them money and whatnot. But so that's like the one scene that actually was in DC. So, but yeah, and of course it doesn't work. Meanwhile, the serial killer has tracked down Lowndes and has kidnapped him, and says essentially like, I'm going to use you as a warning to the rest of them to, back off. And he puts in the fake teeth to give him a giant bite on his face.
Yeah.
And then, in a really amazing scene, just sets the guy on fire in a chair and sends him careening through a parking garage. what a scene. It's great.
It's crazy.
This is not an overly gory film. I've watched much gorier movies.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that this is able to build suspense to each killing is so good. And like this is a showstopper. Yeah, eventually we see this killer played by Tom Noonan, Francis Dollarhide, and we get like just kind of his normal day. He works at a photo development lab in St. Louis, and he strikes up a relationship with a blind woman named Reba at the photo development place. And, he takes her to meet a tiger, which is an incredible scene.
It's an amazing scene.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. Like, they go to a tiger.
He just says, "I have a surprise for you," and you just think, "Oh, she's gonna be upside down.
She's gonna be dead,
and,
yeah,
like in pieces or something." But no, like the next scene is just this sleeping, this sedated tiger, and her just running her hand through it,
and like curling up with it.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this, and I'm like, on the one hand, I kind of get it. I've had cats. Cats are great. A tiger is terrifying. I don't think people realize how big a tiger is. They're much bigger than a lion.
Yeah.
They're scarier than a lion. A lion, like, I'm not saying you could fight a lion, but you could probably fight a lion. Tigers will kill anything.
If you have a laser pointer, you're fine.
No. I do love, what was it? You were saying, like, when they filmed this, go ahead.
So, like, the guy in the scene is actually the lion, like the
tiger,
the veterinarian
yeah.
tiger guy, and he said you have 40 minutes with this sedation, and we're fine. And so, and they're in this huge studio, and there's like a net for the camera and stuff like that, and everything was fine. They're kind of getting bolder with like her move. She's like rubbing his face and his eyes and stuff.
Yeah.
And at one point, like his tail flipped. And suddenly everyone left.
Because if you own a cat, once that tail starts going, get out.
Dead.
He is overstimulated.
Yeah.
I don't care how much like drugs they've shot this tiger with. That thing is going to get up and start mauling you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, get out.
Yeah.
They strike up this relationship, and they go back to his place. And so she's blind. She can't really see anything. And his whole thing is he's obsessed with sight and with seeing people. And part of his murders are all involved with, like, mirrors and stuff. So she's, like, kind of the opposite of him, because she doesn't want to kill anybody, but she can't see anything.
Yeah.
And so they have this, like, they hook up. They have a sexual relationship and stuff. And he is, I guess, so weirded out by this to an extent. Like, it's great, but his whole thing is he wants to be, the Red Dragon of, like, William Blake and all that stuff. He has this whole idea that every time he kills somebody, he is becoming stronger, and he's becoming closer to this great red dragon and stuff. And flashing back to Hannibal Lecter talks about, the whole thing about killing people is that essentially you become like a god. You have power over life and death, and the more that you kill people, the more you are like God. And so I think in doing something like having a sexual relationship, that kind of screws with his whole idea of who he is as the Red Dragon, as a killer, as somebody who is having this kind of bizarre, like, mystical idea of murder and stuff. Also, he's just a really bad boyfriend, because the moment she takes a ride home from work with another person who is not actually expressing any sexual interest, he freaks out.
He tears up his dashboard.
I've been in old cars. It's not that easy to do that, so I'm impressed a little bit.
He's a big guy, too. He's like 6'7" or something.
Yeah. I mean, the actual actor was like 6'5", and that's tall enough.
Yeah.
He kills the coworker who drove her home, and then he abducts her.
It's kind of a cool shot when he thinks he sees them making out, but it's just got all this light and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's
there's a lot of kind of seeing the world through his own deranged fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
So because he sees that, he murders the coworker and abducts her and takes her back to his honestly pretty cool house in the woods.
Yeah.
It's very that weird mid-century modern, a lot of windows, He's got a lot of giant posters of the moon on his walls and stuff.
He's got some kind of weird spiky thing on the ceiling, I guess.
Well, look, if you're a serial killer, are you not going to have a weird spiky thing on the ceiling?
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think, like, come on, man. So yeah, Will is trying to figure out like what's going on here, and eventually he's looking at all of these kind of home movies of the people who were killed, and eventually he puts together that they were all developed at the same photo development place.
Yeah, because up to this point, they're like, there's nothing connecting these two families at all.
Exactly. Like they don't know each other. They don't have people involved. Like they have absolutely no connection to each other. They live in different parts of the country. There's no reason for them to have any sort of connection. But the reason that they know that the same person killed them is because of the weird bite marks. And by now we know that the bite marks are like this weird, like kind of implant he puts in when he bites people because they look more dragon-like, basically. What a dork.
Yeah.
So.
But they figure out because, like, at the one house, he brought bolt cutters.
Yeah.
Because in an earlier film, like that's he would have needed that to get in.
Right.
But then realizes, oh no, like they changed that lock or something.
Yeah. So essentially, Will realizes the way that he is interacting with these families is all based on the same home movies that he's watching, which don't reflect the reality of the houses when the crimes were actually taking place. So, it's like, oh, did he need bolt cutters? No, he didn't, but they were there and all this stuff. And so, like, why did he have these tools? How was he watching them? And they realize it's not like he was outside their houses stalking them at all. He was looking at home movies that he had to process at work.
Like, he knew there was a dog at the one person's house because it was a Mary versus the Movies movie, and there has to be a dog.
Yeah.
In 40 years or whatever.
But so yeah, Will kind of puts together like, oh, it's all at this one film lab in St. Louis. This guy obviously lives in St. Louis. They start doing like databases and stuff and trying to figure out who this could possibly be. Eventually they figure out it's this guy, Francis, and they, decide to swarm on his house. So meanwhile, he's got poor Reba, blind, stuck at his house, and he's being all very freaky and blaring Inigo de Vita, of all things, as he's preparing to murder her with shards of a mirror and whatnot. The SWAT team is heading towards the house, led by Will and his boss, played by Dennis Farina. As they're like kind of in the woods trying to find the house, slowly you hear Inigo de Vita getting louder as they get closer to the house. It's really wonderful sound editing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's really brilliant the way they do this. They get close enough to the house. Will decides to just burst through his window.
It's an amazing shot.
It's so cool. It is one of the coolest shots we've ever covered. It's great. And immediately just gets like wrecked.
Yeah.
And then, Francis grabs his shotgun and just starts mowing down all the cops who are coming at his door. And so essentially you're left with Will finally like wakes up out of his stupor from being, slashed at, and is able to shoot him. And that's the end of the Red Dragon.
And you see him on the floor, and he's got the red coming out, and it looks like wings.
Again, this is so stylishly done. My God, this movie is.
I really.
This movie is just a series of paintings.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's legitimately gorgeous. And so Will is able to go back home to his wife and kid, and try to reintegrate himself into normal life. That's the movie.
Yeah.
This movie rocks. This movie's great. One of the best suspense films I've ever seen. I don't know. Like, what else can I say about it?
I feel like the way it's shot, it's almost not about the mystery.
No, it's not.
It's almost entirely just about Will and what Will's going through.
Yeah. Like, it's not really about figuring out who the Red Dragon is, because that's not really what's important in this movie. This is not... I thought about Sherlock Holmes, obviously, because, I think about, like, profilers and stuff. I'm like, is that a real thing? But the idea of, a good detective can get into the mind of a killer is going back to Sherlock Holmes and just trying to, like,
But that's kind of flipped on its head in that
Yeah.
it's Hannibal Lecter that's doing the Sherlock Holmes stuff.
You compared him to Mycroft, right?
Yeah, he's more like Mycroft, like Sherlock's brother, who's smarter than Sherlock but never goes anywhere. He just kind of sits there and.
Again, like Hannibal Lecter in his cage.
Yeah, he can get things done that way, but he just is too lazy to get up. Just like in Silence of the Lambs, he comments on perfume in the Silence of the Lambs. Here he comments on his aftershave. He's like a child. It's like one of my favorite shots in it is so we've been in this white antiseptic, death room of Hannibal Lecter's. This is just kind of an amazing sequence where so Will keeps getting more and more freaked out, especially when Hannibal asks for his phone number. Mm-hmm. And it's like yeah, we can be friends, and it's like he's running through this kind of maze of stairway. And then he bursts out of this amazing, like, white modern building. It looks like he's, like, choking and stuff. He's, like, reaching for his tie. And he leans over this balcony. And then suddenly the screen is just this blurry green. Uh-huh. And you're like, what am I looking at? It's like green with, like, yellow and red and stuff. And then he unadjusts his tie. And then it focuses to just grass. It's so physical, just the cutting and the editing of that scene. It's just because you've just been kind of like bombarded with this bright white.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that in this film. And it kills me when you go back and you look at the reviews at the time and everybody's just like, oh, look at the way that he's like kind of filming everything with the colors. Oh, this is so over the top. This is too much. And I read the reviews at the time and I'm just like, you guys have no idea how terrible things are going to get in like 40 years. Everything's going to look like garbage. You don't understand. You don't know how good you have it here. You owe Michael Mann an apology.
But I think what works with him is that he embraces modern architecture and he really embraces like glass buildings and that kind of thing.
Dude's a modernist. It's great.
Yeah. And like there's been plenty of directors that film a beautiful like Bertolucci and plenty. But But just like his embrace of like modern architecture, and he's from Chicago. Like it just feels like Chicago, but also in love with the sky.
Yeah,
like it's like I think he likes these modern buildings because it gives you more windows to work with.
Yeah,
I'll just mention I really like Hannibal Lecter on the phone. He's breaking into the phone that they let him use, and he's just like using chewing gum to like make these outgoing calls. And the way he acts is like he's like completely entitled to do this because he's smarter than everyone, and that's how he does things.
So that was Manhunter, starring William Petersen, Brian Cox, Dennis Farina, Kim Grice, Joan Allen, Stephen Lang, and really, most importantly, Tom Noonan as our serial killer.
He is freaky.
He's great in this. He just passed away. Yeah. That's not why we picked this, but he is fantastic in this, and he is so creepy. And Silence of the Lambs is a great movie. It's a different film that's much more about gender in ways that are both positive and negative. I mean, some stuff, obviously does not play as well now, but all the stuff with Jodie Foster, it's fascinating. But this is interesting. This is a completely different film, and I don't know. I really thought this was amazing. Obviously written and directed by Michael Mann. So yeah, loved it.
Mm-hmm. He wrote for Starsky and Hutch.
Michael Mann?
That's how he got his start.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Right on.
He had a friend that made the show, and he was trying to figure out a way to become a director, and he figured that was the way in.
All right, folks. You, of course, can follow us on social media. We are Mary vs. Movies on all of your major platforms. We are on Instagram and TikTok and what else is out there? Blue Sky and all the rest of that. We have a Facebook page. You, of course, can go to our website, maryvsmovies.com, and get all of our information there. We are on all of your major platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts. We can rate and review the show, and we would appreciate it if you did. We are on Spotify. We're on YouTube, all the rest of it. And, of course, we have a Patreon. We can help support the show for $3 a month because, we're not on a network. We don't have ads. This is purely a labor of love, and if you want to help support that, you can send us a little cash our way to help pay for our costs because, of course, it costs money to have a server and a website and a web mistress and the Zoom account and all the rest of that. So if you sign up at patreon.com/maryvsmovies, and do not do that on the Patreon app, do it on a browser because the Patreon app, Apple takes money from that. But you can get access to our whole other show, Hollywood Avalon, where we watch Arthurian movies. And that can be anything from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade to Apocalypse Now to Bugs Bunny cartoons to a TV show about the adventures of Lancelot to the show Merlin to it's everything.
We've done Merlin twice now.
We'll do more Merlin.
Yeah.
If it's Arthurian, we will cover it. So yes, if you want to hear us talk about Arthurian movies in any capacity, sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/maryvsmovies. All right. Our next episode, we are going to do The Unbelievable Truth, the Hal Hartley film, and we're going to have a guest, and that is going to be so cool. We're going to have on Stephen Cook, the Canadian film reviewer and journalist and whatnot.
I'm very excited about this.
I cannot wait to talk to Stephen. This is going to be great.
I like the movie. And I guess Stephen's all right.
Oh, jeez. No. Look, Dennis is a huge Hal Hartley fan, so he's very excited to show me this Hal Hartley movie, so that's going to be great. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up. And so, until next time.
Well, zip that little pointer finger down to the letter G.